All right, we messed up a little bit. I admit it. I messed up a little bit, made a couple mistakes, mishandled a couple things. I'm willing to apologize and course correct a little bit, and I'm going to talk about that. I'm talking about ChosenCon, and we've got a big ChosenCon coming February 19th to the 21st in Charlotte. And I think how we rolled it out, some of the decisions that we made, we didn't fully consider all of the ramifications. And so I'm going to talk to you about what we're doing to fix it. I'm going to talk to you about why we raised the price of ChosenCon and then eliminated the live virtual option. And I think those two things are the things that have kind of frustrated a few people the most. And so we've been seeing some chatter on a couple of videos, been seeing some chatter in the Facebook fan club. And so I want to address some of that. So I'm going to explain to you why we did it. We'll talk about a little bit how you reacted, what we're going to do to adjust. And then I've got some direct words for you because I'm seeing some things, some comments that I really want to stop. And I want us to get on the same page as a chosen family. And I want a few trends that I'm seeing to just stop. So I'm going to talk to you about that at the end. But first of all, why is it that we raised the prices for ChosenCon this year? Well, I talked a little bit about this in the live stream, and if you go to the ChosenCon website, there's a video where I talk a little bit about that, but I'll share it with you now again. First of all, ChosenCon is primarily a gift to you. It's a gift to the fans. We don't do it to make a big profit. And in fact, we have lost a good amount of money on our first two ChosenCons, and we can't really keep doing that. Some of the reasons include, one, we don't have many sponsors for ChosenCon. It's been a really hard experience trying to get sponsors. I think it's probably because we are a Jesus show and a lot of sponsors don't really get involved in that kind of a thing. Most of the conventions, the fan conventions that you hear about, the reason that they are able to profit and keep going is because usually they started pretty small and they grew. And in their growth, they got significant sponsorships, and that covers a lot of the cost. Well, we don't really have that, and we're only in our third year. But also, we have a huge priority on quality. If you've been to ChosenCon, I think you would agree. And if you haven't been, I think you can appreciate this. But we put a lot into the quality of the experience. The production value of it is significant. We do a lot of big events in the main room, and that requires a significant amount of production, from audio, visual, the whole 9 yards, and it's a big experience. And we really put a lot into it. We want, from the time you walk into the event space, not just the room where these main events happen, but the hallways and all of that, you will experience a very, very high quality production. And I would say that and in fact, a lot of people who've been to multiple conventions, a lot of experts in the field agree that I would put ours up against anybody's. So that is, of course, costs money, and we really want it to be a big, not just a significant experience for you production-wise, but also a heartfelt experience for you. And so because of that, we have a big team, and we bring in a lot of actors and a lot of crew, and we really want to make it significant for you, and that costs money. Then the experience itself, we have special guests like Phil Wickham, who's going to be, leading worship and also doing a concert. We've got Levi Lusko, who comes in and delivers the word. And so these are the kinds of things that we do. That's just a small taste of it. We really make sure that the experience itself, not just the quality of it, but the depth of it, the breadth of it. I mean, it is a all day and night thing, and the days are jam-packed, and of course that costs money as well. This year it's going to be 3 days, not just 2. That's a significant add-on, and one of the reasons we did that was because the first couple of years we packed everything into 2 days, and not everyone was able to experience everything. Now that's still going to be the case. There's still going to be things that happened at the same time, but we really wanted to give you as much of an experience as possible. And so I want to remind you that your donations to come and see fund our production. But as a company, 5 and 2 Studios, which operates year-round and is growing as a company and building multiple projects, and our live streams and our events and all that kind of stuff, our gifts are all coming from our company, 5 and 2 Studios. And we have to operate as a company. We have to pay our employees. We have to build a company that's going to be long-lasting. And so our gift sales and our events like these are how we are able to do that. And ChosenCon, even though it's not profitable, we can't afford to just keep losing as much money as we have in previous ChosenCons. And so another reason that ChosenCon packages this year are a little bit more expensive. Some cases a lot more expensive. We don't nickel and dime you. You know, a lot of these fan conventions, you show up, and if you want to get autographs or if you want to do meet and greets, those are extra costs. And so we don't do any of that. We try to pack as much into the packages as we possibly can and not charge extra. So you're going to be getting, other than a couple of handful of meals, which of course, if you take the highest package, you're going to get almost all of your meals covered. But so other than a few meals here and there, we really try to pack in as much as we can for each of these packages. And so that's the main reason why the cost of ChosenCon has gone up. Now, why did we eliminate the live virtual option? Now, for clarity, we still are going to be offering replays of the ChosenCon experience, but the live virtual option for some people was a bit of a disappointment. And I understand that. And that's, I think, where the biggest thing where we messed up was, I think when we're raising the price, which is by definition making things a little bit more difficult for you to experience ChosenCon, well, then we eliminate the live virtual option, which is like, wow, you're really making this even more restrictive. And I think that decision was questionable. And I also think our communication of it wasn't great. And I think there's ways that we can get better in that. And so I acknowledge that at least it came across this way. And I think in some ways it was literally this way. Our third ChosenCon is more difficult and there are more hurdles to experience it than there have been in the past. And that's a mistake. That's not typically how we operate as a company. We are trying to usually make things as easy as possible for you to access. And so I'm going to talk about the why we did eliminate the live virtual option, but I'm going to tell you what we're doing to adjust for that and to make things, I think, even better for you. So the live virtual option is also extremely expensive. And yes, we can charge tickets. We can ask you to pay to buy tickets for it, but we don't want to necessarily detract from the live experience. And of course, to break even or make money on the live virtual option, I think the ticket prices would be significant. And I don't think that actually solves the problem. But the hosting of a live experience like that, like the hosting costs, like the literal virtual hosting costs, are literally tens of thousands of dollars. And it's extremely expensive to make it accessible like that. And then that also, to give you the full ChosenCon experience like we were trying to do, there was a host and there's logistics and there's personnel, a big team that has to pull that off. And that's pretty not only expensive, but it's also very time consuming and very resource swallowing for our team. Our team gets spread very thin. Putting on a live event like this is extremely taxing. It spreads us very thin, and that's okay. It's worth it. But then when you add on to the live virtual experience, which most conventions like this don't offer, at least to the extent that we do and the extent that we have in the past, but it spreads us very, very thin. And so here's what would happen. We would check to see how many people were watching concurrently or watching live, and it was never more than like 80 people or so. So all of this effort, all this work, and all this cost, it clearly wasn't justified in terms of how many people were actually taking us up on it to experience it. Now, most of the people who purchased that option were ending up watching it on replay anyway. And we are still offering replay options for you. So there will still be a chance, if you do not attend live, to watch the gist of ChosenCon and most of our events in a replay format virtually. So we still are going to offer that to you. But at the end of the day, I want to remind you, this is intended to be a live event. I mean, the virtual option that we were offering is just something we were doing as an extra, and it just didn't ultimately pan out as we hoped and needed. So here's what we are going to do to make up for the fact that it's costlier to go to ChosenCon this year. And for some of you, you were able to attend the first 2 years. You're not able to attend this year, and I understand that. So we are going to be working on getting replays to you quicker. So I don't have details on that yet, but we are looking into that. In the past, you had to wait a little bit, wait a couple of days after ChosenCon. We're really working to try to get those to you as quickly as possible this year. But we're also going to make it easier to watch at least some of the main events of ChosenCon this year by making it free. So we are going to go ahead this year on YouTube, at least on YouTube, but on a few things. We're going to be doing live streams. Normally we do one live stream per Chosen Con where we get on for about an hour and a half and I make a few announcements and whatnot. We give you a little bit taste of that. We're going to be doing more of that this year. So we're going to have several sessions that we're going to be offering as live streams so that our global audience all over the world for free can see some of our main sessions. So we're going to offer that this year. We're going to actually expand the number of live streams that we do and make it even easier for you to experience at least some of the big moments of Chosen Con. Not all of them, of course, because again, we are wanting to make this a live event. We do want the people who are there to get something special. But we're going to give you more access for free than we ever have before. And then we'll also, as I mentioned, offer that replay option that you can get tickets for. Now, all that to say, I still want to encourage you to go live. I know that it's costly. I know that not everyone can do it. And if you can't, I understand. And that's why we're trying to make it easier for you. But those of you who can go, this is why the live experience is worth it. Tons of meet and greets. Just me alone, I do 8 hours a day of meet and greets, sometimes late into the evening for those who weren't able to make it during the day. We are bringing cast in. We are bringing some of our crew in, people that you are definitely going to want to meet, get selfies with, get a chance to say hi, get a chance to say thank you. We've also got some big surprises coming this year. We had a huge one last year. You can watch it on YouTube right now, actually. You can watch on our YouTube channel what we did at the last Chosen Con with our big surprise. We do at least one of those every year, and we got another big one coming this year. And then the Impact Plus package, the top package, that is already sold out. But the middle package is something I'd really love for you to consider as well. We've got a special event this year for the Impact for the top two tier packages. Really special event that I think you're going to really want to be there for. We're going to go through the Last Supper from season 5. We're going to kind of experience it together live, and we're going to engage with what's happening. We're going to participate with what's happening. We're going to have a live experience with the footage from the Last Supper of last year. So that's going to be really cool. We've got some gifts for you that are exclusive and really cool. You get early access. You get some exclusive panels that are in smaller areas, but that are only available to these tiers. So also this year for Chosen Con, one of the things that I acknowledge when we've kind of struggled with over the first 2 Chosen Cons is the food. The food is going to be better this year. This is one of the challenging things that you experience with Chosen, just with Chosen, but with any convention, is that the food is not only very expensive because you have to get it from the host venue. It's like a requirement if you book that venue. But, feeding that many people is oftentimes challenging. And so you get some of these box lunches and they're not always great. We are very confident that this year is going to be a nice upgrade on the food. So that's another reason to show up to the live experience. So all that to say, again, I apologize for how we rolled some of this out. I do apologize for not only some of the communication, but a couple of the decisions themselves weren't ideal. But we are always working to make things as accessible for you as possible. And we know that not everyone can do everything. We get that. But our goal as a company is always to be as fan-centric and as connected to you as possible, and to make things as easy and as awesome for you as we possibly can. And so sometimes we do that to an extent where we can't even sustain it. And then we have to make some adjustments, and it almost feels like we're taking something away. But I hope that you can understand a little bit why we have to do some of these things. Now, I want to close with this. There have been a handful of comments that I have seen in the fan club and on other videos, some trends that I have seen, not just for Chosen Con, but at other times, that I really want to stop. And so I'm going to speak directly to you if you've been making these kinds of comments, or if you're someone who's on the fence about some things and you see some of these comments and you believe them, or if you're someone who's supportive of us and you actually respond to and rebuke some of these comments. That's great too. I want you to hear from my heart where we're at on some of these things so that you can respond appropriately when someone says this to you. So 3 things that I want to stop seeing, three types of comments. Number 1, that this is about the haves and the have-nots. I've heard that phrase way too many times, and I want to put a stop to it. So I'll get to that in a second. Then we oftentimes hear that, things have changed since the early years. Things used to be so much more simple. I miss it when things were simpler, and now it feels complicated, and now it feels so big and expansive and Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. So I'll address that as well. And then the one that I often hearing is, they're starting to do this for the money and for the fame. The fame's gotten to their head. The money's gotten to their head. They're just trying to make more money. These decisions are all about the money, yada, yada. No more of that. So we'll start with the haves and the have-nots. There are some people who can't buy a t-shirt from the gift store. Should we decide to just give t-shirts away because we don't want to have haves and have-nots? Are we favoring the ones who can get a t-shirt? And I hear that often. I'm like, oh, they're getting special favor. Or people who can, people who have money, the people who can afford it, they're the ones who get the special favors from The Chosen. People who are able to buy tickets to go to the theater to see the seasons early. If you're someone who can't do that, are we supposed to deny that opportunity to those who do want to do that, who do want to see it on the big screen? Should they not be allowed to? Should we just deny them that opportunity because you're not able to? Should we deny more ways to make a living for the actors of our show? So the actors actually are able to get more money from theatrical releases or from events like this because the actors on our show, believe it or not, compared to other shows, and especially compared to shows that are 6 seasons in, are actually quite underpaid. Now, underpaid is a relative term, of course. They're getting paid for their work, obviously, and we believe they're getting paid well. But when you've put 5-6 seasons into a show, and a show like ours that is broadcast all over the world, relative to other shows that have big studios and big networks and big streaming platforms that are financing them, as an independent project, all of us, including myself, are actually, compared to what they would normally get on a show similar to this that's been going this long, would be getting significantly more elsewhere. And so we're also looking for ways for them to make a living, because you got to remember, when you're an actor, you're not only making a living for the time that you're doing the project that you're on, but also long term. You've got to make a living for your family for a long time. And so these opportunities are ways that we can do that because the show itself, because the show is free, and I'll get to that in a second, kind of limits how much we're able to monetize. And we're happy to do that. And that's the decision that we made. And that's actually one of the reasons why the show is so big and popular, is because we made it free. But that has caused us to have some limitations personally. And so some of these opportunities, like theatrical releases or Chosen Con or other events that we do, are opportunities for them to make a living. And so to deny that because some people can't afford to participate in it, I think is not only a reflection of what I would consider to be an unholy jealousy and envy, but I also think, and I think it's in many ways selfish to think, well, because I can't participate, then I think no one else can. But it's also just not an accurate way to look at things. And so every time I see that phrase, this is the haves and the have-nots, I think it's inappropriate. I think it needs to stop. And when you're just looking at Chosen Con, should we just make Chosen Con free? Obviously, we can't do that. Obviously, there's going to be a cost of entry to do something like this and to attend something like this. And so I understand genuinely that there are some who can't do it. And if you're one of those people, I'm sad. I wish that we could provide everything for everybody, but we just can't. And I just hope that you can understand that, and hope that you can also understand that this have and have-nots thing is a wrong way to look at it. The second thing that I often hear is things have changed. Things feel different. Things used to be simpler. I don't like how things feel now. Well, you are right about that. Things have changed. First of all, back when things were quote unquote simpler and we had far fewer resources than we do now, a lot of us were miserable and significantly underpaid, couldn't make a living doing this. The amount of work that went into trying to build this thing and trying to build this from scratch and to do a show on a very, very limited budget was very challenging. And to build our gifts store from scratch, at the time, gifts used to take weeks to arrive. People were always complaining about how long things took. And so they just went to Amazon to get stuff. And oftentimes didn't buy our stuff. The show has grown significantly since then and has the audience. And so we have to find more ways to get this to more people. Some people who say things used to be simpler, I kind of go, well, would you prefer we stay on a little app that the majority of the world isn't going to get? I mean, shouldn't we be excited that more people have access to this show and are able to watch it on multiple platforms? Back when we were small and much smaller, it was very, very difficult. And it was not only difficult for us, it was difficult for a lot of you. I remember you had problems and challenges getting your friends and family to watch the show because it was like, well, an app that I haven't heard of, and would I have to download something new, and it's not as high quality and high functioning as some of the normal apps that I watch my shows on, like, whether it's Amazon or Netflix or whatever. And we had, this little app that was we were building from scratch, and it's because it's smaller and it's just not going to be quite as robust as some of these other platforms are. And so, yes, things have changed, but I would argue that for the most part, at least, things have changed significantly for the better. Now, yes, you have to wait sometimes. If you are wanting to see it free, you might have to wait a little longer than you used to. But I'll get to that a little bit more I'll get to that in a little bit, but we are still doing live streams. We're still on social media, expanding our social media, still getting content out to you every single day, multiple posts a day. We still give away tons of it. The show is still free, and we are still underpricing things compared to the industry, including our gifts, including tickets for a lot of these things. So we are still the same company that we've always been. We just are on a bigger platform and on a bigger scale, yes, but we are still trying to match that, meaning we are still trying to bring on as many people as we can to make it as easy as possible. We're trying to respond to as many comments as we can on social media, and we are building social media teams and infrastructures in other countries that we're in an attempt to kind of replicate what we've done here in the States. And so that takes a lot, but it's also making it easier to watch for millions, tens of millions of people all over the world. Now, one last thing that I want to say, I'm just looking at my notes here. I want to make sure I cover everything. The concept of, they're in it for the money. They're in it for the fame, or they're not, it's gotten to their heads, and they're just trying to make more money. So just to remind you, the show is free. The show is still free. And do you know how long it's going to be free? Forever. Decades, at least until Jesus comes. And do you know how long it's not available free? Like a few months. When a new season comes out and it starts in theaters and then it goes to Prime or it goes to a streaming platform that you might have to get a subscription for, that's usually a few months, sometimes half of a year. And then once it's no longer, I'm using poor wording, but once that half a year or so is up, it's free forever. And you know how much money 5 and 2 Studios has sacrificed and how much money we have denied by that decision to keep the show free? Tens of millions of dollars. And in the long term, hundreds of millions of dollars. The fact that the show will always be available free keeps us from being able to give it to these platforms exclusively. And that's what platforms are paying for. So when a platform goes and they purchase the rights or the license fees to a show, the reason that they're going to spend a lot of money for that is that it's exclusive to that platform, and it's going to get a bunch of people to come to it. And we've said to these platforms, after a few months, the show will be available free in the Chosen app all over the world in every country forever. And that has lowered the value of the show, meaning what it's worth to potential platforms and licensees, by tens of millions of dollars in the short term and hundreds of millions of dollars in the long term. And so I know for you, you might be thinking, oh my goodness, well I'm not saying this even mockingly, but I have to wait a few months before I can see it for free. Oh, well, that's just them doing a money grab. It's the opposite. We can't sustain ourselves by not allowing some of these opportunities to allow the show to be licensed by other broadcasters and by other streaming platforms, but by telling them up front that there's going to be a certain point after a couple months where it's going to be available for free forever. That costs us a lot of money. So as for the fame, I can't speak to that. I don't really care about that stuff, but just please stop making comments and stop allowing for comments from people who are saying, oh, they're just doing this for the money and the fame. Back when we started the show, I had no idea that it was going to become like this. I had no idea if it was ever going to be successful. I didn't do it for that purpose. That's the kind of stuff I'm not motivated by. It has come, obviously. And that's a great thing because it's given us the opportunity to do more and to get the Bible out to more people. More people today are seeing The Chosen for free than at any time. And because of that, more people today are reading the Bible than ever before. That's a great thing. And more people today with the show are able to access it in their own language than ever before. And so when you say, well, I liked it back when things were simpler, not as many people were watching, not as many people were able to access it. And yes, not as many people were able to access it for free in their own language. What's been happening with the show is extraordinary. And the growth of the show is unprecedented and awesome. And people's lives are being changed because of it. All right, so I love you. Let's move forward together. We're going to continue to try to be as much as we can possibly be generous and giving as much as we can away. But there will be times when we just can't, and there's going to be times when we have to sustain ourselves as a company, and I hope that you can understand that. All right, so go to ChosenCon. If you can't go to ChosenCon, then enjoy at least part of it with us when it comes, but it's coming in February. I love you, and I will talk to you soon.